Can you hear me? Yes. Great. Let's start then. So as Anna said, I'm Björn Jansson. I work here in our rapid response team. But today I'm here to present to you two not new features. Ultra lazy extensions is new, but IFC we have supported for a while, but we've made some improvements for this release. And the aim today is to give you like a surface level understanding of what we have done and what you can utilize in your extensions. So the agenda is that we're gonna talk a little bit about lazy extensions and the reason why we have done this and what we have done. And then we're gonna go through a small demo of it. Then we're gonna talk about lazy.xml and what you can add to that in order to do what you want. And then we're gonna do another demo of that, including triggers and channels. Then we're gonna go over to IFC, how it was before and what improvements we've made, and take another quick look at how that actually looks. So yes, lazy extensions. Before we go into actual lazy extensions, you need to know a little bit about extension events. So here we have 3 extensions, and we kind of simplify this a bit, but they have 4 different events. Initialize and terminate will be called in the beginning and in the end of your extensions session, while start and stop can be called repeatedly during the session. And what typically happens during a initialize event is that we initialize the resource files and initialize the database. We register hooks, unregister hooks on start and stop, and then we clean database. And if you only do this, you end up with a fairly speedy extension. However, often we want to and need to add additional stuff, which causes us to have longer initialization time. And this stuff can be various amount of things. We might want to start downloading some catalogs or doing some calculations and stuff. But generally speaking, we add up a little bit of time. And for one extension, an additional 2.5 seconds to our startup time is not all that bad. However, what we need to consider is that users often have more than one extension installed. They might have up to like 10 or 15 extensions installed. So if every extension have 2-second extended startup time, that adds up to 30 seconds, which is not really nice to wait for. And it's especially frustrating if the user only wants to use extension A in this case. Why do we even need to load extension B and C then? That's just wasted time. So that's the idea, and in comes laziness. Laziness exists in different forms in our system already. And the idea is that we only perform an action when we absolutely have to. We don't do it before. So the question which arises is, how long can we postpone starting up our extension? When do we actually need to load it? Is there anyone who have any ideas? Loaded drawing might be one.
When they open the card?
Yes, that's what we think. When we click the toolbox, that's when we should load it. So this was the idea, that we have 3 extensions, all is asleep. When we click the extension, it's loaded. Very simple, super simple idea. And this is what has been made. Also pretty simple, but we have the ultra lazy extension, which is controlled by a lazy.xml. So at startup, we go through the extensions and retrieve their lazy.xml. We parse them in order to create an extension stub, which this is fairly speedy operation, and it has to be done anyway. So we just do it for all of them, but no init code has been run at this state. I should also mention that you don't have to have a lazy.xml file. You can have a not lazy.xml file. In that case, your extension will not be lazy at all, but you still need to have the file. And if you do that, your toolbox will have to be created through other means. But anyway, in this case, a user might click extension B and it's loaded. So it's the same thing. It's the original idea. So we're going to take a quick look at this. Here we have a demo extension, and in it we have, it doesn't contain much, but we have this horrible method, which is called on init. It creates 12 snappers, then goes to sleep for 12 seconds, then inserts them before we're finally done. So we can take a quick look at this. So yeah, we started up and we can see that we have our extension here. Yeah, and we also have made this little inspector thing which shows the states of our extensions. So this box will turn green if the extension is loaded. So now we just click our extension and we start to load. We create the snappers, we go to sleep for 12 seconds and then insert them. So all of this time that we are waiting for right now would have been needed during startup. And now we have postponed it until now. And we're loaded. So you can still see that Model Lab, QA tools, they aren't loaded yet. So if I'm only gonna use the demo extension, I don't have to wait. I pretty much have eliminated their load time now, which we think is great. And so yeah, that's the whole idea and how it works. In develop mode, in release mode, we have added, I think we have added a patience threshold, which basically if you, the user, are idle, we will try to load some extensions if if nothing else is going on. So then when you click it later, it's already loaded. Then you haven't even noticed the load time of the extensions. So that's an even greater idea. But yeah, in the develop mode, it works exactly as how I described it before. So yeah, we can go back. And take a quick look at the lazy.xml. So this is a really simple example of lazy.xml, which we create extension stubs for. It doesn't contain much. You need lazy extension info, main ID, and then your toolboxes, for which you need to add like the package and the function to actually build your toolbox. And then a label would be nice. But you can do some additional things. If you need to group your toolboxes, you can easily do it through the lazy.xml. You can also control the visibility of your toolbox through different means. So we have the visibility develop mode here, which means it's only visible in develop mode. You can also control the visibility through channels on my configura. To control the visibility for certain users. And we have triggers. So in certain cases you might have to load your extension without the user actually clicking the extension. Perhaps you have dependency from some other package or something and you need to use it. Then you can just trigger it like we do here. Trigger lazy extensions using the key that we have declared here. So it's a pretty simple idea, and we're gonna take a quick look at that. I just need to,
So my libraries show automatically, so why would I want to reference a library specifically?
Yeah, I don't know. you don't really need to load the library. Uh, I don't actually know the use case for it, but I guess it seemed like a good idea to implement it. And it just gives you, as the developer of your extension, to.
Well, maybe I might have mistaken it, but because I use the auto-generated lazy XML, so maybe it did reference the library. I didn't notice.
Oh yeah, you. I'm not necessarily certain if you have to, but I think it's a good idea. So what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna open hidden toolbox, and I'm gonna add myself to the channel. So now when we start CT, we should be able to see another toolbox because I added myself. Sometimes it needs a little bit of time, but so here it is, and we found it. So that's the idea of controlling the visibility of channels through channels. We also have the trigger. We can just so we have the trigger, and we have our lazy.xml here, which we have declared the trigger. So now we only need to run that code, and we should see that we are loading. So yeah, now we're loaded. Yeah, so let's go to IFC import and export. As I said, this is something we have supported for quite some time. I don't know exactly how long, but it's a couple of versions at least. But the way it has been before, IFC, for you who don't know, stands for Industry Foundation Classes. And what it does is that it enables us to exchange information between the building information modeling softwares, or just BIM softwares. So how it used to be was like this. We have a snapper that might be a chair, stair, or door, and we pass it through a basic export factory, and then in the IFC we just get a generic symbol. We have lost everything that told us that it was a specific type of furniture. And what we have done now for the export is that you can either use, there's some factories, but you can also create your own factories to take a certain snapper, export it to IFC, and you get a specific IFC symbol. We have done the same for import, but here we, instead of factories, we use hooks. So if you have a specific IFC stair symbol, you import it, it goes through the stair import hook, you will get the stair snapper on the other side. So we can take a quick look at that as well. So here in our demo extension, we have two door snappers, one generic and one specific. As you can see, they are just, they're kind of snapper. And if we export them, now I've prepared exports, as we can see it here, we can see that this generic one is recognized as a furniture, not the door. So here it's just furniture. It could just as easily be a table. Except for the name, IFC doesn't know anything more about it. But if we take a look at the specific example, now we actually have doors, which we can look at. So we know that this is a door. And if we go ahead and import it. We can import a generic one. And we can import a specific one. So as I said, these are both snappers of their own kind. The specific one is still a specific IFC door snapper. However, this one is just an IFC symbol. So now we cannot reuse our information. We haven't sent all the information that's needed. So now this door is it's pretty dumb, but if we would have properties and so on to decide which side the door handle would be on, previously we couldn't actually change the side of the door handle, but now because you can create your own factory, you can get the information back, so you can recreate the snapper and you can use it again straight from the IFC. So that's the improvement that has been made, and we hope that you can use this. By the way, is anyone using IFC here? No, one. That's great. Yeah, so the idea is that we're going to be able to use much of the information we export to IFC again in CT, and also provide more information to IFC. But yeah. So yeah, in summary, ultra lazy extensions can be loaded when clicked or triggered. This leads to a faster startup time, but at a cost of probably loading it at a later stage if you have to. You can group your toolboxes through the lazy XML. You can also hide the toolboxes through channels. And the implementation of export factories and import hooks give you non-generic symbols. So, yeah. Do you have any questions? Yes.
About this grouping.
Yeah.
Is that only available if you use a lazy XML?
Yeah, if you don't use, if you choose to name have it as a not lazy XML. I believe, I'm not entirely certain, but I believe you need to group your toolboxes in the traditional way. Basically, we just read the file, see that you're non-lazy, and just ignore you. Yeah, you can't, and I don't think you can use the channels and stuff either. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah?
I searched a little through the code, and is there any documentation about what does what?
Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
Is there any documentation about what does what?
Oh, for the lazy or IFC?
For the IFC.
Oh, I'm not certain about that. I would check the wiki if I were you, and especially in the migration notes. But yeah, other than that, sorry, I can actually show you a bit. Like the examples we made, they are super simple, but I can give you an idea of how to do it. So we have the export. Here. So it's very simple. Here we just call a function with a snapper. We make sure that the snapper is of a specific type, and then we return the factory. And then later, when we actually want to import it, we use the factory and call this method to create the object we want to export. So this creates the specific IFC output. And if we take a look at the import here, again, very simple. This is just a function. So we get IFC project tree node. So we make sure that it's in a specific type we want. We retrieve the product, the IFC product, and then because we know which type it is, and yeah, this is we can recreate the new snapper, and then the only information we use here is the placement, and and then we apply it to our snapper. But here the placement information, you can send in all sorts of information to apply to your snapper, but you will have to create your own snapper again, but just give it the information you need. So as I said, this is very simple, but you can make really what you want from this. And yeah, I think there you could probably find some examples in our code on how to do this, but I would start looking at the wiki and see if you can find something there. I don't actually, I haven't looked there, so I don't know if there is anything. But yeah, any more questions? Yes.
Is this 10.5
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on a specific like demo branch, but these features are available in 10.5.
So, and one other question. If I would like to take a CT snapper, export it to some other tool that can like do IFC,
Yeah.
and does this mean that I can export it to like this other tool, specify it in this other tool, and import it back?
Yeah. That's basically what I did. And
As long as I'm
sorry.
supporting the like changes that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, sure. That's basically what I did. But we didn't do any changes in another IFC program, but we used another program to view it. But of course, we could change it in there as well. And as long as you have a hook for it when you import it and the data is correct, you should be able to see those changes and apply them. Like you recreate the snapper, and as long as you can interpret the data, you shouldn't have any problems actually creating your snapper from that data. But it completely depends on you writing your hook or factory correctly. And I looked through the code. There's a fair amount of factories and so on already in place, so you can you can either use them straight off, or you can extend those and just make your special things.
So have you found any problems doing this, or is it like a white paper what I can do here?
Actually, I haven't worked on the IFC project actually, so I'm not super familiar with it, and I haven't used it a lot. So I have only like tried it out for the demo here, so I don't have any personal experience. But from what I've like the code I've seen and so on, I think you can do. It's up to you basically. Yeah, you can do what you want. And however, I don't know if there's any specific like restrictions on IFC, which data they can handle and so on. If you can send in auxiliary data or something about, but it seems like you can. So yeah. Yes, any more questions? No one? All right, then I think we are done. Thank you.